Peacemaker Season 2 drops in 1 week, and they just recently dropped their final trailer, the Red Band trailer, and I know I haven't really made a devoted video to it, and I'll have to fix that soon, but Peacemaker Season 1 was one of the highlights of the old post-Snyderverse DCEU. I had such a good time with that show. I think it is genuinely one of the better superhero TV shows. You know Boba Talks? He makes a lot of really great DC and Marvel content. We'd have little watch parties with friends and watch Peacemaker Season 1. That's how I experienced it for the first time. And it's going to happen again with Season 2. But if you want far more consistent coverage than what I do, Boba's right there. Be sure to subscribe to him. Back to Peacemaker, though. Season 2. It's a bizarre entity, because it's a project that kind of overlaps the original DCEU and the newly rebooted DCU. And it is just really funny how bizarre this whole thing is, because it's being treated as kind of the third project in the new DCU, just behind Superman and then before that, Creature Commandos. But yet it's a second season to a show that was part of the old DCEU. And this is kind of being tackled head on. Peacemaker obviously had a cameo appearance in the recent Superman movie, after coming face to shadowed out face with Henry Cavill's Superman at the end of Season 1. Here we have our first and most clear carryover from the DCEU making its way over to the DCU. And I think that's going to be make or break for these DCEU carryovers. James Gunn was recently asked if Margot Robbie will be reprising her role of Harley Quinn in the DCU, and he kind of said, you know, we don't know yet, we'll find out soon. I think it hinges on Peacemaker Season 2 and how well it works, whether or not audiences, the general audience anyway, are confused by the new universe shift. It is funny though, we've seen similar things with like the Marvel animated universe, how it switched from Ultimate Spider-Man to Marvel Spider-Man 2017 in crossover episodes. We're kind of seeing a similar thing here. And James Gunn has outright stated that if something is kind of mentioned or relevant to the new plot, then it is effectively canonized. But one thing that we can safely say has been decanonized is that Justice League cameo appearance at the end of Peacemaker Season 1. Now with Season 2, we know we're tackling the multiverse. Again. So there's a lot of speculation that maybe this could be the show to acknowledge the shift from the DCEU to the DCU. However, I don't actually think that's what they're doing. Based on everything we've seen in all of the trailers, I don't think that is the function that the multiverse serves in this. And I think that Peacemaker Season 2 is going to handle that universe shift in a more thematic way. So one thing we do understand is that the DCU has a new Rick Flag in the form of Frank Grillo. And we know that they've made him Rick Flag Sr., so that's a way of making it make sense with Joel Kinnaman's version of the character from Suicide Squad 2016, who Peacemaker would go on to kill in The Suicide Squad 2021. Now, if you told younger pup in 2016, who actually really enjoyed Batman v Superman, that parts of the DCEU would be cropping up in the next version of it, but it's all the Suicide Squad stuff, I would have been livid, but I did actually really enjoy James Gunn's Suicide Squad 2021, and Peacemaker Season 1 was one of the highlights of the old DCEU, alongside the Snyder stuff. So the way I think they're going to deal with adjusting to a new universe, the changing of the guard, is going to be that Rick Flag Sr. has taken over as the Secretary of Defense and the Director of Argus. And Peacemaker kind of knows he's in trouble now, because obviously, he killed his son. We've also got him auditioning for the Justice Gang as well under Maxwell Lord. Peacemaker is trying to reinvent himself as a proper superhero rather than the chaotic anti-hero that he's kind of known to be.
I don't want to be a joke anymore. I want to be a real hero.
Hence why he's trying to join the Justice Gang, but lo and behold, the Justice Gang are kind of dicks. Well, aside from Mr. Terrific, who is not here. I don't know if he will be in Peacemaker Season 2 at all, but for now we just got Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl. I think this is where they're going to deal with the DCEU to DCU shift head on. He's effectively in a new world, where the Justice Gang have emerged, and Rick Flag Sr. is now the man to be aware of. And in this new world order, I suppose, who is Peacemaker going to be? How is he going to redefine himself? And I think that story of him redefining himself is going to have a big parallel to the DCEU itself. And it will be acknowledged on a thematic level rather than a direct one. Now, Peacemaker as a character has obviously made a lot of mistakes. Killing Rick Flag Jr. was a mistake. He's always been that far more morally grey character. He's much more of an anti-hero. We saw his journey of growth in Season 1, which I was actually really impressed by, because I was like, after he killed Rick Flag Jr., how are we gonna root for this guy? But we kind of got a redemption for him in Season 1, but now his crimes are kind of catching up to him. in the single most personal way possible. But in his White Dragon father Algie Smith's quantum unfolding storage area, Peacemaker has access to other dimensions. So he's gonna run from his crimes. He's gonna go live in another dimension where everything's coming up Peacemaker. He's happy there. He's now dating Harcourt, which, let's face it, we'd all want to go to that universe. Fair play, James Gunn. Fair play. But also in that universe, Peacemaker is seen as a legitimate, celebrated superhero. He's kind of like the Superman of that world. I feel like that would also be a great opportunity to introduce David Corenswet's Superman, but like a different version of him. Maybe one where he's a dick. But clearly this is all being used for a story about Peacemaker running from his past, running from his crimes. And obviously that's something he's going to have to confront by the end of it. Him and Rick Flag are going to have to work something out. And it's probably going to be one of them dying, because I don't really see a father forgiving the death of their son. But already that is compelling character stuff. Revenge, vengeance, wanting to hide away from your mistakes and go to the ideal world. We also do have more little ties to Superman with this portal to another dimension as well. Rick Flag mentions that Lex Luthor was also obsessed with these portals. But we can also see at Rick Flag's table, there's one of the guys that worked under Lex Luthor. So we are seeing some cameos from Superman. James Gunn has also teased that there will be like a big Superman mega cameo at the end of the season. Whether that is Superman himself or like other members of the Superman cast, I don't know. Maybe we'll actually see Lex Luthor, find out a little about the aftermath of what Lex Luthor was getting up to in Superman. It is also funny though, when you think like how long Marvel spent building to the multiverse saga, yet the DCU is here and we're doing it in project number 3. However, it does appear to be being used in a narratively compelling way at least. Rather than just the usual, oh, things will never be the same, maybe you'll get some cameos. But we also see that there is another Peacemaker that already lives in that dimension and is already dating Harcourt, so his interdimensional self coming in and plowing his wife probably isn't going to bode well. No matter where he goes, people want to kill him. But I think another major driving force in him returning to his dimension is going to be, and I know it sounds silly, but the friends he made along the way. Like, he formed real bonds with people in that first season. We're seeing them built upon already in this trailer here. We know that Harcourt, Leota, Vigilante, and John are all gonna go and search for him. They'll probably end up rescuing him from the other Peacemaker, because it just wouldn't be a James Gunn project without friends rescuing friends. But that's my general prediction for this. There's gonna be themes of reinventing yourself, a changing of the guard kind of threatening your existence, and that's going to be how this ties to the old DCEU. It's gonna be a completely thematic one, nothing literal and nothing meta. And the multiverse angle is just gonna be used as a means of giving Peacemaker somewhere he can run to, a place of respite. Also, it doesn't have much to do with this plot breakdown, but Eagly's back. I'm happy about it. I love Eagly. Who didn't love Eagly? In terms of DCEU stuff, obviously James Gunn has said, yeah, if it's canon to this, it will be kind of mentioned, brought up, or be relevant to its story. The Justice League cameo from Season 1, already, we can discount that. Now, I'm gonna say this, I've never been sure how to feel about like going back and revisiting old projects to make revised versions. I kind of feel like you shouldn't tamper with those kinds of things, but I think it would be good if we did at least have the option of a revised version of Peacemaker Season 1, maybe with a different cameo at the end or something. That way you can binge watch Season 1 through Season 2 as one continuous experience without being pulled out of the moment by, oh yeah, there was that, wasn't there? But I think this is going to be a big make or break experiment for that kind of format of storytelling, bringing the old over and recontextualizing it in this new world. And I think with everything laid out here, that could work really well. And I think the quality of the project will determine how willing the general audience is to kind of roll with it. And I don't doubt that the quality is going to be there. Already, there have been bits in these trailers that have made me laugh. My favorite joke, I think, has to be the one where Vigilante is asking why he wasn't invited to Peacemaker's sex party with his secret harem. And I'll just play the exchange.
I'm into sex because, like a lot of people, it's an opportunity to bond with my best friend.
That's such a curveball. That's really funny. We've also got the alien that never says hi to him as well, and he really resents that.
Fuck off!
The way he just yells at him is so funny. I really enjoyed John Cena's performance as Peacemaker. I enjoyed it a lot in Season 1 as well, but just how he can fly off the handle at people. He plays that whole kind of man-child role just really well.
It's just some rude motherfucker who I say hi to every time and never says hi back!
I'm kind of hoping he'll get more kind of dialogue with Guy Gardner than what we've seen in the trailer as well, just because those two together could be quite fun. Maybe even insufferable for everyone else involved. If you love DC stuff, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I've got a video coming up which is going to to be a retrospective on all of the big screen Superman solo movies, and I will be sure to cover Peacemaker Season 2 in the future as well. That's enough video for you today. Come on, get out of here!
Fuck off!